we are live right here. You guys are just tuning into the show right here. So we are going to talk about politics or whatever you want. So let's get right to it. I'm pretty sure you guys will be popping up soon. I think I'm going to... Oh, we got one person. Welcome to the show. Say hello if you would like. I'm trying to do the NPR voice, guys. But we are going to talk about politics and whatnot. So I want to give you guys some of my thoughts, and hopefully more of you guys will tune in as I say these things. But the Democrats, well, hold on a second. Let me get up on Facebook. I'm gonna broadcast from Facebook. I keep saying the same thing over and over. Okay. We are broadcasting live from Facebook. Oh, we got 2 people up on the show. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are enjoying your Friday evening. I need to find a way to play music on this thing. Okay, we are live up on Facebook as well. So I want to give you guys some of my thoughts on what's happening with the U.S. government right now. So the Democrats control the entire government. They control the executive. They control the Senate. They control the House, right? Republicans have lost, supposedly, right? Republicans have lost in the case of the elections. But here's the thing. Republicans right now have their golden opportunity to do what they need to do to market themselves. Because here's the thing. Think about it this way. If Trump won, right? If Trump would have won the election, and if the Republicans would have dominated the Senate, then what would have happened? Well, let's say that within the next 3 or 4 years, a recession happens, or some crazy terrorist attack happens. Muslim lunatics blow up they blow up a Sizzlers or something and they kill a bunch of people. I don't know. Or they blow up a football game. Do you really want that to happen under a Republican watch? Do you really want that? Think about it this way. Do you really want that to happen in a government where the Republicans have some power? Because let's say the Republicans won the Senate. Democrats can then say, well, it was these Republicans. They controlled the Senate. They didn't allow us to do what we wanted. We wanted to do this one bill that would have, increased the defense budget, but Republicans didn't want to pass it because there was something about welfare for the poor, so they didn't want that to happen. So bang it a bang it a bang it a bang, they start blaming each other. Republicans will say, well, no, Democrats controlled the House. Yes, we have control of the Senate, but the Democrats didn't want to do this one thing. They didn't want to stop immigration. They didn't want to block immigration from the Middle East or whatever. And so now the terrorism happened. That's how it happened. So then they are both in the position. Let's say the Democrats control the House, the Republicans control the Senate. They're then in the position to blame one another. But in a situation where the Democrats are controlling the entire government, the Republicans can then blame the Democrats on everything. The Republicans can blame the Democrats on everything. This is how this should be viewed by Republicans who want to be strategic. This is not like, oh, the Democrats won. This is a complete nightmare. This is not a tragedy. It really isn't. From a marketing point of view, this is perfect. This is wonderful. Listen, Republicans are always talking about how Democrats have terrible policies and Democrats have, they mess things up and they're going to ruin the country. They'll think of it this way. If Democrat policies are so destructive, this is the golden opportunity to allow the country to witness that. This is your golden opportunity to demonstrate, or to really get the Democrats to demonstrate what you guys have been saying all along, and that is Democrats suck. So if Democrats suck so much, you guys should be happy. This situation right here, these next 4 years, they are going to be a Republican wet dream materializing right before our eyes. That's what this is. This is a Republican fantasy coming right into reality. This is your opportunity to just allow the Democrats to demonstrate how crappy they are. And then you can play the blame game. Terrorism happens, blame the Democrats. Recession happens, blame the Democrats. And you are going to see a red wave. That's what's going to happen. You are going to see a right-wing whiplash that it's going to parallel what happened in 2015, 2014, when Obama was president. We had this giant red whiplash, and it was really a right-wing surge. It wasn't just in the United States. It was in Europe as well. That's what you're going to be seeing. Liberals, moderates are thinking, well, with the Biden presidency, things are going to get better. No, they're not. People are thinking, well, the righties, they just invaded the Capitol building. So they just invaded the Capitol building. So we don't want Republicans in office anymore. This is the time to push Trump out. Trump needs to leave. That's what people are thinking. Well, okay, Trump leaves. The anger is still there. The hatred is still there. The tension is still there. The crazy, fanatical right-wing hatred is still there. And the lefties, who are also filled with hatred for the government, for conservatives, they're still there also. And make no mistake about it, the people who are going to hate Biden aren't just going to be on the right. They're going to be on the left as well. There was a guy amongst the crowd, amongst the mob that invaded the Capitol building. There was a guy who was seen in a BLM protest supporting Black Lives Matter. So it's not just and the other thing also, if you watch some of the footage that came out from the Capitol, from the siege of the Capitol or the breach of the Capitol, you'll see some guy waving the gay flag, the rainbow flag. So these aren't really conservatives in the traditional sense of the word. These are fanatics. These are lunatics. These are people who don't mind implementing a little bit of Jacobin, crazy, rebellious Joker politics. They just want to see the world burn. They love chaos. And there's obviously some instigators there as well. Have you ever heard of the Noahide laws? Yes, I have. It's in the book of Genesis. So yeah, that's the thing. So right now, this is the opportunity for the Republicans to demonstrate just how lousy the Democrats are. That's what this is about. In fact, I'm going to put my conspiracy theory hat on. I suspect that Republicans wanted Trump out for this very reason. Think about it. If you are a shrewd, strategic Republican, and you see what's happening right now with this COVID stuff, the country pouring out tons of money, $1 trillion as a relief fund for what happened with the lockdown. You see the signs, you see the writing on the wall, you see some kind of economic disaster is about to happen. You keep doing this sort of thing, it's difficult for a country to sustain itself. Some people argue otherwise. I may be wrong. But from what I've heard, the country can't sustain itself if it's just giving away money all the time to companies, to people, etc. So you see what's happening. You see the left getting more and more angry. You see the economic problems. Do you really want a Republican presidency during that time when the shit hits the fan? Do you really want a Republican in office to get splattered with that shit? That's a serious question. Do you really want that? You don't want that. Doesn't look good for you guys. Does not look good for you guys. So that's the bottom line. That is really the bottom line, guys. I think the Republicans want Trump out for that reason. They want all the stuff. They want all the shit to hit the fan when a Democrat is in office and when the Democrats control the government. They are Republicans right now, most likely, can't prove this, but I'm going to assume that they are Republicans right now cheering in glee and in ecstasy as to what is happening. So happy that Ossoff won, so happy that Warnock won, so happy that Kamala Akbar is going to control the Senate practically because she now has a vote, right? Because the Senate's going to be 50-50. Well, constitutionally, if the Senate is 50-50, the vice president gets a vote. That's how it works. The last time this happened was in the year 2000, and Cheney had a lot of influence in the Senate. So you have Kamala Akbar, who's going to be controlling the Senate. Democrats going to control the House. You're going to have a Democrat grandfather as the president, and then you're going to have the inner city school principal being the vice president, and she's going to get all the media attention because she's a woman, and she's a woman of color. So she's going to get that attention. She's going to get them cameras on her. And everyone's going to be so excited. It's going to be the first Black woman to have just such a high seat in American politics. And all these libs are going to be cheering on. And this is the golden opportunity for all the righties to come out of the woodwork. All the radical, fanatic, psycho righties to come out and be like, oh, did you see what this Black woman said? Did you see? This is why we can't have these people in politics. You see what this crazy communist Kamala Akbar said. And then Joe Biden's going to say some stupid ass lefty stuff like, well, the hijab is very helpful. It can prevent the spread of coronavirus. And all the righties are going to be like, Joe Biden supports Islamic misogyny. They talk about feminism, the misogynist. I mean, the law that was signed since President Carter, I'd never heard of this. No. Could you kind of like inform me on it? Is there a link that you can send me that I can read? Nicolette? So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Think about it, man. It's a perfect situation. You got this old man there who's like barely capable of doing a speech. And then at the side, you got Mama Kamala. You got Kamala Akbar, and she has that look that so many righties just hate. A strong, independent woman of color. A lot of righties hate that stuff. They get so pissy with it because to them it's just some SJW stuff. They're like, well, the only reason why she's there is because she's Black. I mean, they'll say stuff like that. It's this SJW women empowerment crap. So this is not an atmosphere where Democrats are just dominating. It's not. This is you know what this is? This is a room full of gas, and all the righties got to do is throw a flame in. That's what this is. This is not a situation where righties are losing. Quite the contrary. I remember when Obama was president and all these refugees were pouring into Europe and immigration was the big talking point. It was the big point of contention. The right dominated the internet. Breitbart, all the crazy righties on YouTube, Sargon of Akkad, all these freaks, Milo, Jordan Peterson, these people just dominated. The right dominated the internet. And in a way, they still do. You look at people like Tim Pool, they dominate the internet. And the right won the metapolitical battle. There's political battles But then you have metapolitical battles. Metapolitical, the word metapolitical or metapolitics is something that I learned from the Nazis, actually. The neo-Nazis in Europe like to use this term. Metapolitical is when you are dominating the political discourse of society. Remember, everyone thought that Trump was going to lose because he was a big doofus and he was a orange orangutan or whatever. The reality is that Trump was winning. He won before the election even began. Why? Because Trump dominated the political discourse of the country. Everyone and their mama around the dinner table were talking about Donald Trump. That's the bottom line. Every media alphabet outlet was talking about no one else but Donald Trump. No one gave a damn about Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, none of that crap. Everybody just wanted to talk about Donald Trump. The media's ratings shot up to the roof under Donald Trump because that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted that guy in there. He's great for ratings. They loved Trump. If anything, the media loved Donald Trump and helped Donald Trump. Even with all the negative attention, the media helped Donald Trump, because when the media says, oh, we hate this person, he's so bad and so nasty, guess what? All the people are like, well, I want to hear what this man has to say. He seems so interesting. What's the big hoodabala about? So Trump won the metapolitical battle. And so I think we are going to be seeing in the next 4 years a repeat of what happened in 2014, 2015, but it's going to be much stronger. It's going to be much more intense. Why? Because people believe that the election was stolen. And when enough people believe that the election was stolen, they can become very dangerous. And they can become very hysterical, but they also become one thing, and that's determined. When you think that something is stolen from you, you become very determined to take it back. So you're going to have Kamala Akbar in the White House. She's going to say a bunch of stupid lefty shit like Sharia law ain't so bad, or Muslims are great, or whatever. She's going to be saying Islam is a beautiful religion. Happy Ramadan or whatever. And all the righties are going to be like, she supports Sharia law. And that's going to get the righties up. It's going to get their viewership up. Some crazy terrorist attacks could happen. And if it does happen, God help us, because all the immigration stuff, all the immigration hysteria is going to come back to the forefront. It kind of already did with the whole coronavirus thing. But if you have terrorism, that just amplifies it even more. So all the anti-immigration stuff is going to come back to the forefront, and they're going to be like, well, we had 4 years of this guy, and we had a recession, we had terrorism, all these horrible things happen. Well, we needed someone who's a strong leader, we need a very strong leader. And then what are you going to have? You're going to have some guy, either Trump's going to run again, and that's possible, or you're going to have someone who's crazier than Donald Trump run. And he's going to get Trump's endorsement. All the righties are going to love him. Both the left and the right have now normalized fanaticism. That's just the reality. The left and the right have both normalized fanaticism. When you have people like Lamont Hill he was on CNN. They threw him out because he said free Palestine. But when you have people like Lamont Hill saying things like, well, the destruction of property really isn't so bad because, them businesses weren't owned by black folk anyway. So who cares? Those businesses don't belong to the community. So who really gives a damn about any of that stuff? So yeah, when you have people like Lamont Hill saying things like that and supporting property destruction and supporting the destruction of businesses, when you see righties say things like, well, the American people are fed up and that's why they stormed the Capitol building. They're just fed up by this nonsense. When you see stuff like that, they have just normalized fanaticism. They are both normalizing it. So it's like under the Trump administration, and even before that, we passed our threshold for fanaticism. So now we're going to pass it again. We're going to pass another threshold. So every 4 to 8 years, we are surpassing a threshold. We're breaking a taboo, and we're widening that Overton window. And once we widen that Overton window, that's when things get crazier and crazier and crazier. Americans work through cycles. I mean, all people, all countries work through cycles. So, for example, at one point in time, the KKK did a huge riot. This was I want to say this was when Woodrow Wilson was president. The KKK did a huge riot in Chicago and in other parts of the country as well. Tons of people were killed. Tons of property was destroyed, and it was because of the KKK. The Ku Klux Klan did a ton of rioting. And that was a time of fanaticism in the United States. We've had fanaticism in this country before. Fanaticism is nothing new. It's not like everything that's happening today is unprecedented. This is the first time that a mob has breached the Capitol building. It's not the first time that it's been hit by people, though. I mean, people talk about the War of 1812, the British took it over, or when they tried to burn it down. In 1915, someone put a bomb in the Capitol building. It was a professor who taught the German language, and he put a bomb in the Capitol building to protest the war. In 1952, a group of Puerto Rican nationalists, I know, right? A group of Puerto Rican nationalists stormed the Capitol building and actually shot at people. And then they unfurled the flag of Puerto Rico as some kind of a statement for the Puerto Rican race or whatever. So we've had things like this happen before, but nothing equal to this, right? This is the first time that a mob of political fanatics have breached the Capitol building. So in that sense, it is unprecedented. But fanaticism is not unprecedented in this country. It's been here since forever. Since the American Revolution, we've had fanaticism. This country was built on revolution. This country was built on blood, as are many other countries. So when you have things like this happening historically, when you have events like this happening in the past, then parallels to those past events are going to take place again. So fanaticism is going to increase and increase and increase, and then eventually something's going to explode, and then we're going to say, well, let's not do that ever again. And then if we're still alive as humans, if the human race hasn't been completely wiped out, then it'll probably repeat itself in the future. Do you think Trump will make a military coup? Only card he has left to play? No, I don't think that's going to happen. Hello, Amanda, and good evening, Sean. Let's see. Brandon Hethcox. It was stolen. The so-called Dominion voting machines are proof. I'm convinced that Trump was the first honest Republican Party, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Even if the election was stolen, that doesn't. It's not worth starting a revolution over that. Because what we saw 2 days ago was an attempted. I wouldn't say, some people are saying it's a coup. I mean, I guess you could say it's a coup, but if it is a coup, it's a pretty primitive one because there weren't a whole lot of weapons. People were walking in there with steel pipes. A police officer was murdered. 4 people were shot by the cops. 4 people actually died. One of them was a woman who was shot in the neck. I'm not going to condemn the cops because they were in a very intense situation. I think it was a riot. It was definitely a rebellious riot. Populist riot is really what it was. Yeah, I don't like any of it. I mean, as much as I don't like the politicians, I don't like the reaction. So those are my thoughts on that. This is a perfect situation for Republicans. It really is. This is a perfect marketing opportunity for Republicans. They are going to just dominate in propaganda. And anything that happens, the Republicans can just blame the Democrats. The Democrats will have no room to blame the Republicans in the sense that in the sense of blaming the current government. What the Democrats will do, and they do this all the time, what the Democrats will do is they'll say, well, the reason why we had these problems, we're having these problems, be it recession and what have you, is because of something that Trump did. So if we have a recession, they're going to say, well, it's because Trump didn't want to pass this bill, or Trump didn't want to do a hard lockdown in the beginning. If he would have just had a hard lockdown in the beginning, then none of this would have happened. Like, they're going to find some way to blame Trump. But it's not really going to be that easy for the Democrats, because the Republicans are going to say, listen, let's say you have 8 years of Democrats, or 4 years. Let's say you're going to have at least 4 years of Democrats, or really 2 years actually, because you're going to have 2 years of at least 2 years. Okay, the Republicans are going to say, you guys had 2 years. You couldn't get anything done. You guys could have voted whatever you wanted. You could have done anything. You ruined the country. I hate both extremes of the left or right, kind of like choosing to live between North Korea or Saudi Arabia. True, absolutely. It's like saying, hey, do you want to live in a communist gulag, or do you want to live in a Nazi concentration camp? Well, at least the Nazis will gas you. You're dead in a few minutes, or in 30 seconds, you're dead, or it was better than living in a gulag. It's like, no, they both suck. Do you think Trump will start a third party? No, I don't think so. I think Donald Trump is going to start his own media company. It's going to be basically like another Breitbart, which is scary. I think we know exactly what kind of people he's going to have on this program. It's going to be people like Sebastian Gorka and a bunch of other fanatics. Bannon. It'll probably have some Hindu nationalist in there. Who knows? So yeah, if any of you guys want to ask me some more questions, just let me know. We got 8 people up on Facebook. We got 11 people up on YouTube. Hope you guys are enjoying your evening. I should have done this live stream a little bit earlier, but I was too busy playing video games, so that's my excuse. Anyway, I think I'm done for today. This video will be up soon. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this message. You guys just heard some theology. God bless. Gonna pull out of Facebook here. All right. Good night, and enjoy the rest of your Friday, guys.